Soon as that pool is done out there, I'll have you over, and I'll
Oh, yeah.
do. I'm gonna have it. I'll have everybody over, and I'll do some mushrooms for you.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I'll vegan it up for you,
I want
baby.
some of that stuff that you smoke forever and ever and ever, and it gets a bark on it. That's what I want.
Oh yeah, man. That
Thank
big
you.
butt.
Thanks.
10-pound butt takes me about 18 hours to.
Man, it looks like it has like a second skin on it or something.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's coated in. So you rub it before you smoke it, and the rub's got a brown sugar in it, and it's got all kind of peppers, and so that it caramelizes a little. So it does. It creates a nice bark. And then you get some of the fat that's on that outside that,
I'm trying to figure out
up a little bit. And
what's the name of that barbecue place off of? It's not Noda. It's Midtown.
Smokehouse.
It was Smokehouse, baby.
that's a good one.
I used
They've got
to.
a location in Ballantyne too. We're right outside of Ballantyne.
The best thing that I used to eat when before I was vegetarian was the burnt ends. The burnt ends. They had the burnt
ends
ends.
are still good.
I love burnt ends.
All right, y'all ready?
Let's do
Your
it.
burnt ends are okay.
Sorry.
Sam, your burnt ends are okay.
We got folks watching y'all talk about burn in, so let me find the music.
I gotta take Sam to a burn in place, man.
All right, here we go.
How many finals has Jason Estep been to in a row? My gosh.
He goes to the finals about every year since 08. I think they've been to, I don't know, 8 or 9 of them. He goes every year.
You ain't lying.
How did they Bill Russell, like Red Auerbach or something?
Bill Russell.
Like
All
Red
right,
Auerbach.
welcome to Talking Preps. I'm Langston. You know the crew. I'm trying to get my sheet here so I know what I'm doing. Right out the box, guys. Christ School made the Division II playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Rabun Gap. Rabun Gap beat Providence Day, which was number 2 Division I seed. Here's my question: should Christ School have made the Division I playoffs?
That's definitely a debate. I think that what happens is, I talked to Chad Greer about it before the game, and he said there's a formula that goes into it, kind of like the BCS. It's all based on strength of schedule and your record. And I think that their strength of schedule, the only person that they beat was Rabun Gap, like you said, but everybody else wasn't near the competition, I guess. But it's hard to say it in a year like this where everybody was in one little small group playing each other. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't like a wide range of playing. So, yeah, they could have gotten it wrong.
Well, I can tell you the Christ School people feel like because the private schools in Charlotte wouldn't play anybody else, they didn't have a chance to make their schedule harder. Kenzie, what are your thoughts? Give me the teenage perspective. Should Christ School made it?
I mean, if I was Christ School, I wouldn't be complaining. Go in, win the Division II playoff, prove you belong. Next year, get in the conversation, see what you can do in the Division I playoffs. So, win the state championship this year, focus on that, and then go prove you belong next year.
It's interesting you say that because Christ School is going to play in their 10th state finals, Dale, and they've never won one before. And they're going to play an undefeated Harris Christian this week. What do you think?
Man, beating Rabun Gap, and I wasn't at the game this past Friday night, so unfortunately I don't know why that game went. I should have eaten some crow for that, but you got to think they got a real good shot if they can knock off Rabun Gap, who knocks off Providence Day.
Yeah. Rabun Gap just ran on Providence Day and ran on Providence Day and ran on Providence Day. I mean, those holes were massive. They had 400 yards rushing or something like that. It was crazy. Guys that are watching, if you have comments, questions, put them in the comment section on Facebook, Twitter, whatever you're looking at, YouTube. We'll put them in, get your questions answered. We got everything on tap. Grice's Gems, Coach versus Coach. We got Coach Estep later on in the show. We got a big show planned. Should be a lot of fun. I wanted to ask you guys, today the State Association had a press conference. And Gary, I'm going to throw this to you. Q Tucker, who's a friend of the show, been on the show a lot. she was talking about. Let me get the high school thing up screen. She was talking about the mask mandate that they have, and that they're not requiring basketball players this time to wear masks when they're playing sports, but they're making volleyball players wear masks. What are your thoughts about wearing a mask during competition, Gary?
Well, apparently we got the message late because I was at Hickory Ridge basketball workouts and we wore masks the entire practice, and it's very difficult. It was an adjustment period. It definitely affected the mindset of the kids about how they were practicing. I mean, they'll do anything just to play, but it definitely made it difficult to practice today with wearing those masks the entire practice. Usually they only wear the mask when they arrive at the school while they're stretching, and then once we start running, they take the mask off, and when they're playing, they take the mask off, and when we have a break, they're socially distanced during the break. But if that's what it's going to take to play, I mean, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, Dale, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think health-wise it's going to cause them any issues as far as breathing, but it's got to be a mental thing that you got this on your face that you're not accustomed to having, and you're going to probably spend more time worrying about keeping it adjusted as you're out there hustling around on the floor. I think that's going to be very difficult for them to play a solid game without having that mask on their mind. That's going to I think that's going to be the bigger issue is just what it does to them mentally, not physically. So, but like Gary said, if you want to play, I'm sure they'll do whatever is required to be able to play.
It's almost.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gary. Let me find you.
I was thinking about it. It almost can involve some gamesmanship in it. You run past somebody and kind of tug on their mask or knock their mask off. Are you going to stop play because somebody's mask comes off or they're not wearing it properly? I mean, how many times will a game be stopped in the middle of competition because someone is not wearing their mask properly? Or if you need a timeout and you're out of timeouts, somebody's mask falls off on the floor and they have to stop competition. That means the clock stops. I mean, there could be some gamesmanship involved in wearing a mask.
Removing a mask, yeah, to get a clock stop.
What do you think, Izzy?
I've been thinking about it. I'd invest in one of those Under Armour masks for the breathability part, but I definitely would feel a little bit like Darth Vader with that. But I mean, if volleyball is wearing them, I mean, they're more distant than basketball. Basketball, they're a little bit closer. They're running up. They're blocking each other. They're a lot closer than they are in volleyball. So if volleyball is required to wear them, I think basketball should be required to wear them, just, common sense wise.
Mr. Winter is coming. Don't football players wear masks when it gets cold anyway?
Yeah, I don't think football won't affect you as bad because everybody wears a sleeve, the little half sleeve already. The days when it gets cold, and we're playing in February. But the one thing I could see it affecting is basketball. I don't think it will affect you that much in volleyball because there's not any contact outside of the ball. You're not running into each other. But basketball, I could see some difficulties with that because you don't have a helmet protecting you. You can literally touch each other's face and stuff. Yeah. So that would definitely be interesting if they tried to do that in basketball. Because I don't think it'll work there. I think it can work for volleyball. I think basketball's got so much contact involved. I think it'll be more of a hassle than helpful in that regard.
You know what, Sam? I was just thinking when you and I were there in Chapel Hill, how many times they had to come up and tell you to put your mask back on. and it's not a stab. That's you knew you had to do it, and you knew they were what? Huh?
I try to tell them I can't get the virus, but
Right. No, but the fact is that you knew you had to, and you knew they were watching, but there were still times that you let it go down or something. So as a basketball player, this thing's going to impact. Go ahead.
I was smashing nachos. That's why. Quick,
yeah.
Put me up there.
Well, Sam, you were talking about this earlier before we came on air officially. What's your concern level right now for CMS sport? Not CMS, but State Association sports.
Yeah, I'm worried about it right now. I don't like to see the cases on the rise. Like the cold season, flu season is coming into effect, and I think it's scaring a lot of people. So I don't know if everything's really COVID related or just being sick related. So as soon as you get sick, everybody throws a panic out there because of COVID, and I think that that's what we're running into right now. I'm really hoping for in January, if there's a possibility that they have a vaccine, then I think we can move forward and we'll definitely play. But if there is no vaccine, I'm getting a little worried about it. I really am.
Kenzie, let's get the student perspective. Your worry level, if any.
Hi. I was at senior pictures the other day and they were telling us, stay 6 feet apart, and they were hounding us on it, and we just couldn't do it. We're like magnets, Like I feel like I need to be closer to talk to somebody, and people are going out and they're hanging out with their friends, which is, great. Like be a high school kid, but the risk level automatically goes up the more people you're around. So if basketball is intermingling with football and basketball gets a case, football could get a case, and football could give that to baseball, and baseball could give that to soccer. So, it's just a never ending cycle. And I don't really think that people know how to handle that. So my risk for not playing is pretty high at this point.
I can't put gloom and doom on the screen together right now, but we'll go to gloom. Winston-Salem had a soccer match a couple weeks ago. Calvary Day played Concord Academy. They didn't allow anybody but parents and media into the game, but about 200 fans from Calvary Day congregated at the fence. They had 19 cases of COVID come after that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just not smart.
You need to comment on that.
I just want you to comment on your concern level for NCHSA sports. I was kind of piggybacking on what Kenzie said.
What the same concern that others have mentioned, especially what Kenzie mentioned, but what Sam made a point to is a very interesting and valid point, and that is not only do we have COVID, but we got flu coming in, and now we're also at a point in time when colds start to pass more around, and some of the symptoms, of course, are all common. So somebody could get just the common cold, and that's going to flare up a whole bunch of reaction and concern. And I could see that being a big issue. I'm concerned we're going to be able to play simply because the cases are going up. People are not distancing like they should. Kids, it's hard to get kids to distance, period. And when they've been apart, and anytime they can come together, they're going to come together. That magnet comment that Kenzie made, I think I can see that happening anytime a couple of kids get together. They want to get together and talk. So I think it's just not going to be possible.
Okay, we heard from doom. Let's hear from gloom.
COVID fatigue is definitely a reality. I think people are just exhausted with COVID, even though you can't let your guard down, because that's when it'll get you. However, today, as I was listening to the news, there's another company that has a vaccine that they think is 95% positive or accurate. Mm-hmm. And they think they can get it out sometime by late December, early January. So, now there's 2 vaccines that they have approved, and it's just a matter of the politicians allowing the science to go to work so they can dispense these vaccines. Of course, hospital workers will get it first, but I would think
it's a lot of money involved in those decisions.
Well, it's already been paid for by the government. It's and they've already decided how it's going to be given out by the military.
Not for one of the vaccines. No, they were not part of that.
One was not part of Warp Speed. The first one, Pfizer,
exactly.
Warp Speed. Sam, I gotta ask you, because you guys were talking about this just last week. Should a school fire a coach during the pandemic and have that big kick out on the automatic payout? South Carolina has decided to do that. They fired your friend Will Muschamp. Your thoughts on that? Was that smart to do?
Yeah, I don't see how they do that. It's basically off their expectations. They've never won a conference championship. They've won big games. They beat Georgia last year. It's a different time. I think Muschamp is definitely a good coach. I just think they're having a down year. They're struggling on defense, and I know that he's involved on defense, but I think that if he made some changes, he'd be more involved next year on defense and literally wouldn't worry about calling his own defense. And I think that's maybe what he could have done. But I don't know how many years he had left on the contract. A lot of times if he had 2 or 3 years on his contract, then he's going to be one of the highest paid coaches getting fired. So it can have some benefits to it. I just think it shouldn't be done in a weird situation unless there's something they're doing, to affect kids' health. They're doing something else. But, like, based on performance in a time like this, I just think it's a little shady.
Grace.
Told you. I told Griner, man. I told him last week, man. If you're a defensive guy and you're out here giving poor defensive performances, you're going to be gone. Now, I do disagree as far as, when we talk about expectations that South Carolina has. Again, I saw a great tweet from, I think it was Dan Wolken, where I think we'll be in the same situation with South Carolina 5 years from now. You have another guy, it's a 7-win guy, average or whatever. They want more. They're not going to be Clemson. And it's going to be a situation where somebody else gets fired. But what I will say is some people are legends on the field. But my man, Will Muschamp, is a legend at the bank, baby. Let's go.
A nice 7-figure payout. Gary, you're nodding your head, and I want you to comment on that, but I also want you to tell me who you think is going to get the job, and will one of the candidates be a friend of the show?
A friend of the show.
Somebody we had on the show not too long ago from Charlotte 49ers.
Wow. That would be a big step up, but if you want to take that risk, you could pay him a lot less just because it'd be his first venture into being a Power 5 head coach. It's not right to fire these coaches right now, but what we all have to understand is that payout money probably came from 1 or 2 boosters who said, look, we're not going to let this affect the athletic budget. We're not going to let this payout money come from athletic funds. You probably had 2 donors or 2 or 3 donors to step up and say, hey, we'll take care of the payout. Just get rid of them. And that's probably what happened.
Yeah, that's how it always happens.
Yeah. I wish I'd get fired and get $13 million walk out.
That's what I'm saying. I just want to be a legend at the bank. That's it.
Kids, would you be okay with that? Like, kids, if we don't want to,
I'd be fine with that.
But here's $13 million. Don't come back to Huff anymore. But here's $13 million.
Oh, I would be great with that. Huff, watching this, you want to give me $13 million? Let's go.
She didn't roll it like that.
I just wish I got, 13,000 to go.
I hear you. Q Tucker again today. She had a little diatribe about high school kids stop playing club sports right now because she's worried that playing club sports is not. They don't necessarily know what's going on. You might bring the virus back to school. Your thoughts on that, Dale? You're nodding your head. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah. So there's 2 sides to that. One, she's exactly right. So they are picking up the virus and bringing it back. There's no doubt that's occurring. But at the same point to that is a lot of these kids doing club sports don't have any other option in school sports right now. So, I think, again, it's what an athlete and a parent wants to do. And if they want them to go out and do that, then they should do that. If not, then the school systems or the NCHSAA needs to provide a club activity like that, a club sport, which in the end turns out being the sport. So I don't have a problem with it, but I do understand what she said.
She was kind of referring to like the club volleyball teams.
Right.
There's a lot of basketball leagues right now where South Jones High School is not playing as South Jones High School. They're playing as the Dale Ross All-Stars. But it's really South Jones High School, coached by one of the dads. And same with volleyball. Grace, go ahead. You're nodding your head. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's one of those situations where Q Tucker needs to choose her battles, honestly. You can't restrict people's ability to play, and we understand the situation, but, you can't expect them to just sit there and not do anything. We had multiple parents on this show actually talking about the things that they wanted to do. You have parents with means, you have parents with the opportunity. People are always going to go out there and find ways to get better. And that's going to be what it is. So I think she has a big enough problem on her hand dealing with COVID and North Carolina high school sports to then go in to try to, deal or even make comments regarding club sports, because a lot of people are doing it the right way. and she needs to stick to worrying about what she's got to deal with all this.
I had a lot of feedback. I can't put it on the screen because it's coming to my personal Twitter, but I got a lot of feedback right now. Parents are upset because of the crowd limits, the 25 fans being allowed in the games. And for football, you guys are going to have 250. They're like, if you can go into Harris Teeter with hundreds of people, why can't this amount of people come into the gym? Do you guys have any thoughts about the number of fans being let in? I know that's more of a state law, but do you think it's the right thing to do with high schools?
I think I think they've got a valid point, because when you go into a grocery store, you're in a closed environment. The virus has more of an opportunity to linger. When you go to, now, if we're talking about outdoor sports versus indoor sports, it may be a different thing. But if it's an outdoor sport, I don't see why they are limiting as much, and then turn around and you can go inside with approximately the same number of people. And the risk is higher there than it is sitting in a stadium.
Yeah, I think the thing is going to be, once we start getting into some of these indoor sports with the basketballs and the volleyballs and things like that, that's going to be tough. And then football, I mean, I don't know how many games they're going to be able to play if I'm like Asheville somebody or Watauga somebody, and it's going to be like 2 degrees and the field's hard to cement.
Oh, they love it up there, baby. Hey, they're
not in February. They might love it.
I don't know, man.
February, that's a different deal up there, man. That's cold weather.
I've been up to Asheville and Watauga in November. I went up there when West Charlotte played Watauga.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh man, was that a cold night, wasn't it?
One of the coldest nights. That's one of the coldest nights I've ever had in my life, because they had one of those open air press boxes. I was about to die.
So I was sitting out on the bench, and Pete sent somebody out of the locker room to come get me, and took me into the locker room with him. And he told me,
Mountain guys laughing at us right now, man. That's why they're built for it up there, man. That's why we're playing.
Hey, I don't know about that.
No.
Hey, well, they need to get home field advantage.
We have enough gloom and doom. It's time for Gary to tell us about his favorite team as we go to our favorite segment. How about him? You had a good week this week, Gary.
Hey, we were off the chain this week. Let me tell you, nobody got hurt. We had no turnovers. Okay. We didn't give up a lead. We weren't trying to come back at the end of the fourth quarter. We tied. We tied this week. We almost beat the bye.
So sad. So sad.
What's going to happen in the future, Gary? What's going to happen next Sunday?
Next Sunday, you know, as bad as we are, I never thought that we would finish last. But I'm going to tell you, the Giants are really improving. The Eagles, they're not much better, but they beat us. And the Redskins are not much better. They beat us. Even though Alex Smith, he gives them a chance. Rivera's teams tend to get better as the year goes along. So I expect the Cowboys to finish last and finish in the top 4 for a draft pick.
Wow.
That'd be the best opportunity for them to get better.
I'm starting to think the Panthers might need a quarterback, guys. I don't know. I know that Mr. Grice up there likes Teddy Two Gloves. I don't know, man. I don't know. I was like, home team might need somebody. But Grice, it's your time, man. You ready?
Oh, ready to do it. Let's go.
Let me find the I'm like, let me find the bumper. Here we go.
All right, back with another week of the gyms, man. We got 4 great Grice's gyms. You know, we want to get into it. This one guy here, Tyler Green of the Cabarrus Warriors. First year head coach Jamie Bolton's had a great year with, you know, this starting quarterback, a freshman, guys. This is a freshman that was 16-34, 268 and 4 touchdowns. Of course, all of this, unfortunately, in a loss, 63-35 to Harold's Christian on Friday in the first round of the D2 playoffs. This freshman quarterback had 1,586 yards, 12 touchdowns on the season. He reached out to me, you know, great kid, such a leader. He wanted me to shout out his guys that helped him get there. As receivers, Max Riley, Gavin Powell, David Wheeler, young guys that had great years, great year with him as well. His running back, Will Jones, and then Josh Reed is tight end. Guys, are you impressed with a freshman doing this well in his first year, of course, in high school ball?
100%. Like, anytime you have a freshman that can take the reins and make an impact for his team, he's the leader of his team. He's not just making an impact. He's the leader of their franchise, basically. He's the one to trigger that makes everybody else better around him, and he's doing it as a freshman. That's hard to do, and I think that says a lot about him when he's saying he wants to talk about other players outside of himself. So he's already seems like he's grown up. That's really cool to hear.
Gary, your thoughts? Have you had a kid this talented right here?
Yeah, I had a freshman like that once, but it's not surprising because kids are playing quarterback at such a young age in competitive leagues. 7-on-7 is not just a high school phenomenon anymore. Yeah. It's starting earlier, and these kids are ready to play, a lot of them in the 9th grade. So that aspect doesn't surprise me.
Definitely. Well, let's go to the other side of that first-round Division II game. You had Devin Gardner for Harold Christian. Grounder, you'll love this. Ran for more than 200 yards and 6 touchdowns in that same 63-35 win over the Gaberas Warriors. On the good side of this, had 5 rushing touchdowns, ended up picking up a 22-yard fumble return to get it on the other side of the ball, in addition to another fumble recovery as well. So got a guy that did it both ways, but Griner, man, you got to love this, man. Give me some love. Give some love here.
Good-looking offense right there, I tell you. Hey, that kid's a big kid. He looks like he's a man among boys.
I've heard some positive stuff.
How did they let that kid in private school?
That's what I'm saying. Gary, what do you like about him?
It seemed like his coach said, I'm going to give you the ball, and you go hit your head on the goalpost. And it doesn't matter who's in your way.
All right, let's keep it moving. So the third guy, our Heisman watch list member, Jake Helfrich, 23 or 40 for 318 and 2 touchdowns, of course, in a losing effort against Rabun Gap. Also ran for a score and passed for a 2-point conversion. This game to me, and I was able to watch it luckily on their YouTube channel. This game really vaulted him up the watch list for me. Griner, what do you like about Helfrich? I know you've seen him live.
Yeah, I like his boys. He's got a lot of good things. I mean, he's coached by probably the best quarterback guru there is around. So he'll technically get better as long as he's around. Is he a senior? Jake's a senior.
This was unfortunately his last football game.
If he was a junior, you would be to see the difference between this year and next year would be even drastic, even bigger than that. But he had a good year. He had a good season. Unfortunately, they got beat. You see how big Rabun Gap is? Good.
Yeah, I watched that game on the YouTube channel. They were huge. But Gary. So, what are your thoughts about the Heisman Watch candidate here?
I think he went out guns a-blazing, as so to speak. I put it this way: I don't want to get any calls. He's a dude.
I love it. All right, we got to go to our last guy. We're going down to Camden, South Carolina. I've driven through there from the beach, man. This guy, I love, these kids with great creativity. This guy's Twitter handle is Jafari Got Fans. Yes, Jafari Pearson, from Camden, ran for 4 touchdowns and threw for another one, a 52-44 win over Brooklyn Case. He also was 7-10 passing for 105 yards and a touchdown, and of course with 78 yards on the ground to go with those touchdowns. So again, I love an athletic quarterback like this. Now you gotta really, this guy like this really makes you excited. This was a great game. I actually saw some stuff on Twitter where it seemed to be a heated rivalry here, but gotta love an athletic kid like this, and he shows here why in a high-scoring game why he was necessary in order for them to win this football game. So this was an incredible performance by Jafari Pearson. Excuse me, I keep saying Peterson.
So next time you're in Camden, you need to go to the see the memorials and all for the Battle of Camden.
Got it. No, I
Revolutionary War battle.
But no, I love great athletic quarterbacks like this. This kid shows he is a threat. We're able to read it just like a running back, but still able to make great throws. So yeah, it was some good stuff there. But again, those are Grice's gems. You have a great performance. Next week, of course, is state championship week. So like we say, if you grind, we provide you the chance to shine. So hit us up. All right, let's move forward. Time for game of the week. All right, it is game of the week time. We have Rabun Gap, the aforementioned Rabun Gap versus Charlotte Christian to be here in Charlotte on Friday night. So, guys, this is going to be an impressive game. The first thing I wanted to ask you both is, do you feel like Christian, of course, having the week off due to the COVID cases with Country Day, causing them to forfeit, do you feel that time off before this state championship game is an advantage? Kenzie, I'll start with you.
Yeah, it gives their guys a chance to clean stuff up, get healthy, really focus on that next game ahead. They know they're going to the state championship. They know the expectations, and they know they had an extra week to prepare. And I have no doubt they took advantage of that and made it the best of their ability.
Sure. Dale, your thoughts?
Yeah, so the advantages, of course, would be A, they didn't play so they didn't get hurt. B, did they have an opportunity to heal some players? That's always an advantage of not playing. But then there's also advantages to playing because you keep things rolling and you keep things going. So probably from a health perspective, if there were any of those dings that can heal in a week or two, or kids that were close on injury and may have worsened their injury last Friday night. So that's got to be an advantage for Christian in some manner. I'm sure that's probably a bigger advantage than continuing playing.
For sure. No, and I agree 100%. And I think that was one of the things that, I tried to highlight with the game of the week, but actually watching PD last week versus Rabun Gap, those injuries that, we kind of referred to, they really showed their head with such a physical team like Rabun Gap. And I do agree, a team that thrives on being physical and attempting to, really outman you, having to play another game. Again, Dale, you mentioned last week, a long drive back up to Charlotte to play another private school team. Add all of that together, I think that gives a massive advantage to Charlotte Christian. So, with all this information here, what do you think is the key to success for either team when you look at trying to win their state title, Kenzie?
For Rabun Gap, it's going to be running the ball down their throats like they did at Providence Day. I mean, if you can run a ball down someone's throat, do it all day long, run the ball. For Charlotte Christian, though, I'm going to kind of lean on the opposite. I think they need to be balanced. They can't just rely on Henry Rutledge. They have to also rely on that passing game and kind of switch it up, make sure they're balanced on both sides of the ball.
I agree 100%. Dale, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think a lot's going to key on 21 and their ability to stop him. And I think that a key will be that 21 needs to touch the ball a lot. The physicality of Rabun Gap, from what I did see on film, could be an issue, but I really think it's going to come down to 21, and Rabun Gap obviously showed us they can play football.
Rabun Gap is an extremely big team.
Exactly.
They open up huge holes against Providence Day. Providence Day is missing their best player, Zach, and I don't know how to say his last name, King. But that really hurt. They opened up some really big holes. Providence Day got back into the game by passing the ball, getting the ball in space and things like that. But Providence Day would take 13 plays to go down the field, convert 3 first downs and all that kind of stuff. And Rabun Gap would run 1 play and score. I mean, it's got to be frustrating. And we already got a pick here from a man, Cornelius Street. He's got Rabun Gap for the win. He said they've been on the rise. I don't know. Christian knows how to win these big games. I think the coaching staff of Charlotte Christian is underrated, doesn't get the credit they're due. And I think they're having seen what Rabun Gap does versus Providence Day, get the chance to see it. I think they'll make some adjustments. But if you can stop the run, you can stop them. Their passing game is not nearly as good as their running game. In fact, they threw a pass that should have been intercepted.
Well, Langston, I was going to say, I think the key, we talk about the games that, Rabun Gap lost to, and even when they were put on the ropes in the first game was Christ School. A.J. Simpkins, one of the best passers, in this state, really was able to put pressure on them. Matthew Tumala, Charlotte Christian. I think a name we're going to see in this game is going to be Grant Tucker for Charlotte Christian, the big receiver. He's a guy I think that, to go down the field, make some big plays, and I think he's going to be successful. So, you already know my pick. I don't have to,
Well, you already said the king. The king is going to stay the king.
I've been telling y'all that since the beginning.
Sam, what happened to your buddy on Friday night?
I was a little concerned when I talked to him on the phone. He was saying it's the biggest team he's seen in a long time, and they're down a lot. I mean, their best player, I thought, got hurt. Was it Christian that got hurt?
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
He got hurt versus Christian the first game. And, that's a big-time guy that's playing offense and defensive line, and you have other injuries, and you're going against one of the biggest teams.
They were down 6 starters, I think.
I think it shows you how good that he can coach. I mean, they didn't have a problem scoring. I think they sped up the game. He said he was going to speed up the game and try to do as much as he can with tempo, and I think it affected the other teams. Just they couldn't stop him. they couldn't. You know, obviously, I didn't see the
They
game.
had three one-play drives. I mean, that were
Yeah,
long.
it was. You would have loved Rabun Gap, Griner. That was just powerful.
Rabun Gap is grounded. They're ground and pound. They're like a mini Richmond County, maybe. I mean, they're just ground and pound. They got their running back's like 6'3", 190, and it's like he'd run through the hole, and you see a bunch of Providence Day blue dudes on him, think the play was stopped, and you look up, and then this white guy, the guy in white would break away. You gotta be careful, like Gary. The guy in white would break away and keep running. It was just crazy to watch, and Providence Day just could not stop him.
Didn't they have all white uniforms?
They did. They had all white uniforms.
I think that's still the best look there is. And
white on white is great. Yeah.
White on white, yeah. I think they have white helmets too, don't they, or not?
I think they had green. Gary likes white on silver though. He likes that white on silver look. Gary does.
Well, you know who designed that, right? I made those uniforms. That's why he likes them over there at Hickory Ridge.
Oh, here we go.
One of the things I did over there, I didn't do much else.
All right, y'all. They're waiting on it. They're telling me they want to see who's on Fresh Faces. So let me find it. We'll drop it. Here we go. Kenzie, we got Grant Logan, Providence Day. These are not Providence Day highlights. I couldn't find any Providence Day highlights, but this dude's a stud.
He's a guy. I mean, watch him throw on the run. It's pretty remarkable. This is his sophomore year, so he's got one heck of an arm. He can whale it down the field. There's one where he throws this one, I think, 40-yard pass.
Standing on the 40. Yep.
Dang, sideline throw. That's not easy to do, folks. Sideline to sideline, he can do it all. He stepped in some big moments too this year with Providence Day. When they really needed a guy to just sling it down the field, he was there and he did it well. He can also run a little bit, as you can see. So he's a guy. Definitely watch out for him. He's got Greer. He's going to be great next year.
He had a drive on Friday night where it was kind of like all him. I mean, he just, ran it. And I was thinking this guy's a passer. He's like 6'2", 205 and can run. Big body dude. He's like Sam would love him except he throws the ball. Sam, we're gonna really hurt your recruiting on this show because everybody's gonna be
they're gonna be going to Providence Day. All the quarterbacks now.
All right, we got Amini Jacobs of Armenia of Christ School. He reached out to me and said we need to talk about linebackers. So what do you think, Grace?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I watched this tape here, 6'2", 215, smart kid, 3.5, GPA. The kid that you really like is a great traditional inside the box backer. I mean, you playing in the phone booth, his power, his ability to shed the blocks, is really going to shine through. You see here, he's strong, 320 bench, 475.
Was that a beard or a mask?
Say what?
That's a mask.
Oh, okay.
Like that, powerful kid, and I think you see a lot here. He's great at shedding blocks here. Watch him on the edge. Think the fullback's going to get him. He sheds that block, makes the tackle. I think one thing he's got to improve going into his senior year is improving on that speed. He's a 4.7 guy, and I mean, well, linebacker, if he wants to play at the highest of levels, he really needs to get that down a little bit, and especially as he sees better running backs. But as a linebacker that you gotta love, that's going to make some plays, can play as you can see, DN and linebacker, and I think Christ School will be in great hands with him at that position next year.
Well, he told me they shut down that Rabun Gap run game. That just kind of made me think, man, y'all shut Rabun Gap down. That's pretty good. I mean, they're big and they're physical, and their second running back at 145 yards against Providence Day.
They only played once, or they played twice.
Played twice and split. All right, here's Ryan McEvoy, Metrolina Christiandale.
Yeah, this is 6'2". One I think is 85. He's a good kid. He can another one of those kids that can throw on the run, at least to his right. He throws a very accurate ball. I think he had 1,500 yards this year, 1,550 yards, a 0.8 or an 88 QB rating. Look at that throw there. He's got some fast kids on the team too. There's a couple.
Just about to comment how small and slow they look. I'm glad you pointed that out.
But he's making some. He makes some very nice throws. I think he plays the position well. I could not find if he's been recruited by anybody, but certainly he could play somewhere at the next level.
Yeah.
He throws the ball on time. Great ball coming out of his hand for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think, Griner?
I think he's pretty good. Definitely. What is he doing right here, though?
This is his teammate. This is Bryce McPherson, the punter. He's one of the best punters.
Yeah.
What a punt.
Gary, let me hear about him.
6'1", 175. He also wrestles, and he's a state long jump or conference long jump champion and triple jump. So he's an athlete with size. But the main thing is he flips the field, as you can see right here. He
Yes, sir.
Dropper.
Look at this coffin corner.
I love those. I love that kicking. I'm sorry, Gary.
Yeah, he flips the field. That's a huge weapon in high school to have a kicker that once you cross the 35, you're in field goal range. Or you can keep them pinned down with a punt.
I'll be honest with y'all. If Providence Day had him, they might have had a real chance to win on Friday because they had 3 kicks that averaged about 17 yards, and they gave Rabun Gap a short field.
Look how far he's kicking this ball. This is an NFL punt.
Yeah, these are 50-yard punts, and
that's a weapon. I like it.
Say he's committed to Oklahoma. I might be wrong about that, but I know he's
an athlete. That's the thing they're looking for. It's not like he just kicks it. I guarantee he can make a tackle if we need to.
That's a 55-yard punt right there.
He's absolutely a stud. He's absolutely.
I'd be honest with you, he's my favorite player out of all the fresh faces right now.
There's one coming up on the goal line when he's on the goal line punting out. I hope I left that one in, and you can really see him kick that thing. They're pinned down in there deep, and he punts it out to the other side of the field. There it is, right here. Yeah. Watch this one, Brian.
Oh my goodness! Look how much air that ball has.
Send that guy back to the 40.
A lot of times they want to see that ball turn over. He has great hang time.
Here's a kid I really like, Raheem Craig out of Alexander Central. Had a big year last year. Sam, what you got?
Yeah, this guy right here, you talking about being able to set the edge. We talk about setting the edge in the running game. Watch how he comes off the ball. Great get-off ball skills. And see how he turns his left hip and gets it past the offensive lineman. That's the key. That's a lost art form where you got to be able, everybody slapping the bags and trying to get your hips through. He gets his hips through. That's very rare to see in high school. This kid can do it. The more I watched him, I was like, dang, I wish this kid went to West.
Here we go. Don't start that.
That kid right there is special. I like him a lot. I mean, he
had a big year last year. Every Friday night I was reading about
it. They're double teaming him, and he went around the double team.
Yeah. No, he's a very special talent. He's one of those guys up in that Hickory area that you might not hear a lot about, but he really, really can play. And that's one of the things I like about Fresh Faces. We can kind of highlight some of these guys that don't get to shine a lot of times. This guy can really, really, and he can play for anybody, anywhere.
I would have fun with his name, like in the Friday movie. Hey, Craig. All right, we'd have a good time.
No, he can go. He can go. All right, Miss Kenzie's about to get on me because last week I forgot her segment completely, Sam. And because I forgot about it, we're going to do it twice. We're going to have like part 1 and part 2. So you guys get to go through both videos because the video is so good, I couldn't get it all in one. So I want just so we'll play the first one, you guys talk, then we'll play the second one. Here we go. I'm out.
All right.
And keep mentioning senior pictures, but I just walked to this kid. I was like, Trey, you want to do an interview? It's like, yeah. That's how the story was born.
That's really cool. Let's see it. I want to see the interview.
Let's get it. Today we got Trey Zoom here on a Zoom. It's a pretty fun experience. Trey, you're a senior this year, but Huff's lost a lot of seniors going to college early with football being the spring. How does that put any more pressure on yourself and the other seniors?
I feel like it's really, it's what we've been preparing for. A lot of the guys that are seniors this year, we've been playing with each other for 4 years now, and, even middle school and Little League before that. So the guys that we still have who are seniors, we know we have to do just step up and lead, and it's time to put in it's time to use all the work that we put in and just step up.
Yeah. And with you guys losing a lot of players, how are you guys going to look to make up for, lost time in some of the positions that you lost?
We have guys who transferred in. We have Quan, of course, he's another senior. We have Josiah, another senior. And then we have young guys that we also that are moving up from JV that we can count on. So really it's just about meshing with each other and learning the offense and really just, making plays, coming down. That's really what it comes down to. Yeah.
Now they just announced that volleyball, when they play, is going to have to wear a mask. I know you guys have been wearing masks while you've been practicing. Do you think that all sports should require masks while playing?
I think it depends. We'll have to see what everything's looking like come February. But really, whether we have to wear masks or not, I know me and my guys are ready to play. We just want to have an opportunity this season. So, if they make us wear masks, that's something that we're willing to do. But we're just ready to play, really.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love seeing you stressed out a little bit about we're doing 2 segments. You're like, oh my God, well, this is good. This is live TV right
live
here.
TV.
Huh? That's it. You're good at it though. You're a natural.
Thank you.
Who did you have last week?
Last week? Maxwell Coles, North Neck basketball player, big time.
Tall? How tall is he?
How tall? I think he's 6 foot, 6'1".
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's 6'1". Those are great DBs that play basketball. Just heads up for people in West Charlotte.
Yeah.
All right, let's see that tape.
Oh no, this is person.
Huh? Oh, you ain't got that tape?
There's a part 2. So this is the first rapid fire segment. We're gonna get you a little get to know it. Yeah.
The guy that had someone walk in the squeaking door. That's great.
Yeah. Now, Trey, I'm not gonna lie. This is probably the most important question on here. I heard you guys have an open spot at running back. Is this my year?
If you want to give it a shot, I think it would be pretty cool. It would be a great addition to the team. We could definitely use somebody like you for sure.
You heard it here, folks. Folks. 5-star running back Kinsey McLean coming in for Huff High School. You can count on it. Now, Trey, we're going to introduce something new here to Kinsey Time with you. It's a speed round. You have 1 minute to answer as many questions as possible. So I'll start it off with the first question, and I'll start the timer. You ready?
Yeah.
Right. What's your favorite movie?
Rocky.
What's your favorite musical artist?
J. Cole.
Favorite food?
Spaghetti.
Favorite TV show?
The Boondocks.
Who would win in a fight, a grizzly bear or a lion?
Grizzly bear.
Black or white?
Black.
And that's all the questions I have. You passed it with only 30 seconds. Congratulations, Trey. It's been a lot of fun talking to you. Best of luck in the upcoming season.
Appreciate it.
Love the rapid fire.
Rapid fire's pretty cool.
That was good. That was good stuff, Kinsey. And then the only thing that I did not like about this segment, he said a grizzly bear would beat a lion. And,
all day long.
Them Dub C Lions, baby, them things are tough.
I just have a question, though. Are you at all concerned about me when you guys play Huff? I think I'm going to be a real threat.
Like, I just can't deal with it.
Like, high school Heisman right here, I think we're looking at it live on the show.
You need to be on the watch list, Sam. We're going to introduce the watch list later on. You got to put Kinsey on the watch list.
If you actually literally play, I'm doing your fresh faces. You're going to be fresh
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, it's time for Gloom and Doom and Kinsey. So, me and you going to go hide. We're going to let them go to the 2-minute warning and see what we got. Dale's been teasing about something he's going to say on this segment, so I can't wait to see what he's going to say. But here we go.
Well, guys, unfortunately, Charlotte Country Day didn't get the opportunity to play in the playoff game this week. They had to forfeit due to the COVID concerns, mainly contact tracing. And this is going to be something that's fairly common once the public schools get started. What should the North Carolina High School Athletic Association do if a team loses 1 to 10 players due to contact tracing? Should they be forced to forfeit, or is there some other remedy that the state could use to stop a disappointment like that from happening for so many kids? Dale, you go first.
There's not really much they can do because they cannot allow spread. So they're going to, you're just going to have to go through the same protocols, and that there's nothing you can do to overcome potentially getting knocked out of the playoffs, as happened with Country Day, losing games in the regular season, which could impact potential playoff play. But it's just one of the risks that we have to take, and I don't see anything they can do because we have such a shortened season to begin with.
Kenzie?
I mean, there's definitely stuff you can do with the contact tracing. If one kid gets it, I don't think that should necessarily prevent the whole team from going. Playoffs, I think they probably should have, moved the state championship back. They aren't playing it out of venue. Pretty sure they're playing at Christian. If I'm wrong, please let me know. So there's really no downside to postponing it and moving it back because you aren't losing. They're not at a venue. So playoffs, I think, everybody should have a chance. You shouldn't necessarily have to forfeit. There's just going to be a lot of schedule adjusting, and I think that's what they need to do because I think everyone should have the opportunity to play if it's at all possible. We should really work to make sure that's a possibility.
One of the things I thought about when I first saw this question was if it's a public school team, they're in the state playoffs, and we know they're going to be condensed this year. That means you're going to have the best of the best, probably. And usually the best of the best, those programs have, 40 to 50 varsity kids and the same amount of JV kids. And why not move up some kids from the JV? I'm like Kenzie, I don't think they should penalize a whole school for 1 to 5, maybe even 10 kids that are in the contact tracing, because it may be one kid that has the virus, but because he was around 7, 8 kids in his position group, it forces them to not play the game. I think that's a little drastic when you have a high school program that maybe have 70 to 80 kids in the entire program. I think you just move some kids up and keep playing. Everybody's already assumed the risk by agreeing to play football. If you didn't want to take the risk, you shouldn't have played. That's how I look at it. I don't think they should penalize a whole school.
That's an interesting thought. Unfortunately, another COVID question.
Yeah.
Two of them, right? So 2 games are postponed in the same conference because of COVID. Should the non-COVID teams be allowed to play each other so that they don't lose a game? What do you guys think about that, Kenzie?
Yeah, sure. Why not? What's the downside? I think at this point in 2020, we should just be going. If there's no downside to do it and there's a reason to do it, let's do it. And, let's go for it.
I think they should play as well. The Pac-10, they had 2, or Pac-12 rather, they had 2 cancellations this weekend. It was and 2 of the schools were responsible and 2 of the schools were fined. And those 2 schools that were okay, they played yesterday on a Sunday. I think that's what they should do. If it's one school that's causing the problem, it shouldn't deter the other school from being able to make up that game if they can find a game, because every week there's going to be more than one postponement or cancellation, and I think they should have the option to find another opponent if they know by Wednesday. And they can find another opponent. I think the state should allow them to play if they can find another opponent.
Yeah, play. I mean, no other word.
Yeah,
play. I don't really need to say anything more about that. I am going to ask, instead of me going first on the next one, Kenzie, let him go first, and because I am going to add a little tip. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, one's got to go. Krispy Kreme, Dunkin, or Duck Donuts?
Dunkin. My son used to work for Dunkin when he was in high school. He told me those donuts are delivered frozen, kept in a freezer, and when they run low, then they heat them up or however they cook them. Anybody likes Dunkin' Donuts has to be from the North, because if you were raised in the South, how you could pick Dunkin' over Krispy Kreme, I don't understand it. That it's a no-brainer, Krispy Kreme is the champ. Now, Duck Donuts is good when you want to change it up a little bit, but if you can only eat one donut in your whole life, it has to be a glazed Krispy Kreme. That sign has caused more people to break a diet than any other sign in America. Hot donuts now. Deal?
Well, first, I love donuts. So I seek out donuts everywhere I can go. I've eaten donuts at a lot of places. And it's kind of interesting because two of the donuts here mentioned got their founding here in North Carolina. Duck Donuts are awesome. Yes. They're hard to eat, a lot of them, because you just get such a maple bacon, baby. Maple bacon donut. That's the donut. That's a fantastic donut. And growing up, of course, I grew up on Krispy Kreme. And I love Krispy Kreme donuts. I do not. Dunkin's okay if you want a cake donut, but they're really not that appealing to me. But what I wanted to say, folks, so if I throw out Dunkin' without a question, but I wanted to add for you guys, there's another donut in North Carolina. They don't franchise, but it's absolutely one of the best donuts you're going to get anywhere. And it's at Carolina Beach. It's called a Brit donut. I don't know if you've ever had it, any of the other people here on the show, but you got to go have a Brit donut at Carolina Beach. Any of you guys had one?
I've never had one.
No, you got to.
Kenzie, you didn't tell us. What are you thinking?
Kenzie, what's your favorite?
Well, Dunkin's got to go. I don't like cake donuts. Don't come at me. I like a light and fresh donut.
All right.
Krispy Kreme, but my favorite's not actually on here. Texas girl, Arkansas girl, I gotta go with the Shipley donuts. Hot glazed. My guy back in Arkansas still knows my name. He thinks I still live there. So yeah.
If I have to have one dessert the rest of my life and only one, it would be Duck Donuts. I mean, Duck Donuts is like,
it's phenomenal.
It's just,
I ain't gonna lie.
The first time I ever had Duck Donuts, I was taking my son on a visit to the University of Virginia, and they have in Charlottesville, they have a Duck Donuts right across from the hotel they had us staying in. And I'd never heard of Duck Donuts. And my baby boy was like, Dad, we got to go to Duck Donuts. Oh my God, Kenzie. Oh my God.
Maple bacon.
That's what I'm saying. When I used to eat meat,
it was like heaven. I got to cut y'all short because I got my man in the back. We got Jason Estep. We're gonna go to Coach versus Coach. We're gonna let Dale take a little break. We're gonna let Kenzie take a little break, and my man Dallas Cowboy take a little break. Gary's already in the back. Wait a minute. No, Gary's supposed to be.
I'm both. I'm in the back.
No, Gary has to be. You doom and gloom and Coach versus Coach.
Yeah, he's right.
All right, let me
bring in AKA Bill Russell.
Hey, Red Auerbach.
Here we go. All right, Coach Estep, we were just talking about Rabun Gap and how big they are. They're like, for a private school, they are monstrous and got a big, long roster like you don't see on private schools. You got a chance to see them in one of those weird scouting situations. You couldn't see them in person. You on the Zoom looking at them on your TV screen. But what do you think you guys got to do to beat Rabun Gap? Now, I'm going to get out and let you talk to the coach, let y'all have a stream of consciousness.
Yeah, well, first of all, what's up, guys? I hope you guys are good. Pleasure to be on here with you guys and enjoy your weekly show. And Langston was like, hey, man, can we get you on here? I'm like, man, I don't get off the field till 6:15 tonight. My 7th grader's got a basketball game. And with the COVID, I can't even get to an away game. So I'm like, I need to go check this dude play. So I appreciate you guys holding off for me and look forward to chatting for a second. But, you know, Rabun Gap, here's what I would say. It doesn't matter, public, private, North Carolina, Ohio, California, Texas. These dudes are big. And you know, they're going to be a handful. You know, I thought Providence Day made some adjustments at the half last week. That, you know, if they eliminate those mistakes, they probably win that game. I really thought that Chad and the guys were going to come back and win. But, you know, when you're facing a team like that, and coaches, you guys know, you know, we're going to treat like Charlotte Catholic situation with what they do offensively. A lot of 12 and 13 personnel. A lot of teams. I feel like that we have a pretty good recipe to combat what they do offensively. You know, we've been successful against Charlotte Catholic year in, year out for about 4 years. We played those guys. But, you know, they average 280 up front. Tight ends are 6'7", 6'8", quarterback 6'4". Running back got hurt 2 weeks ago, but the young man they put in there, I believe he's verbally committed to Louisville, 6'3", 195 kid. So, I mean, they've got some dudes, and you know, our kids aren't going to shy away. We're going to get physical with them, and that's kind of what we do.
They all look like they're 23 years old. Like,
hey, Coach, I don't even know, man. Like
they're driving to the facility.
Here's one of my biggest frustrations is, you know, way before I got to Charlotte Christian, you know, our conference made a decision to not reclass kids anymore, right? So we're sitting in the state association where there's 4 teams who don't do that. And it's us, Latin Country Day and Providence Day, and we still have to try to figure out how this is going on. And, you know, I've got a freshman left tackle, man, that's 15 years old, you know. So, I mean, what the heck is – he's going to look out there and see that big old joker like, what in the world?
That's right. Win one for the Gipper speech, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. Well, I think,
Coach,
one of the things –
What is your opinion about Christ School being in the D2 playoffs?
Hey, ever since they went to that model, you know, our goal is to, you know, not be in there. And I've kind of said to myself, when I look at this structure of what we do, I don't agree with it. I've got to kind of just be a part of it. And hopefully I've never had to deal with it up to this point. We haven't, but like, you know, I'm just going to be transparent. Like, we wouldn't treat that as a championship. We would treat that as like a belt bowl. No disrespect to that bowl game. But just, you know, get our younger guys some reps and try to end the season on a good note. Yeah, that's right. So I'm like, you know, I don't know. You know, I do feel that Country Day, even though they had 3 losses, was deserving of being in a group of 4 because of the opponents that they had to play. And you guys know, I mean, it's not playing cats 2 or 3 times is not a good situation. I mean, nobody wants to do that. But, you know, fortunately, we got to play some ball and we'll take it.
Hey, is it just because you have so many rings? Is that why you say looking young? I thought I was younger than you, but you look way younger than me, man. Like,
Coach, you see these
winning,
grays?
man.
Come on, man. This is grays in here. You see,
you look stress-free, my man. Look at you. Flat build.
He's got to keep a little grays, to make it look hard. You know, like it's like a tough one.
Yeah. But he does that. He puts in a touch of gray. Like he does.
Oh, yeah. Like he could use the Just for Men, but he chooses not to because it shows wisdom. It shows wisdom. But Coach,
hey,
you know,
hey, let me say this. Last week, preparing for Country Day, you know, you guys have seen them. You know, they're an empty set personnel team, but it causes issues because of the tight end packages that they have in there. So it's tight end, wing set, empties, and you have to treat the running or the quarterback as a running back, et cetera. So I had to actually play quarterback all last week. So my right hip from dropping back was jacked up. My neck was bad, so I've been in the training room all last week before the kids get in there trying to make sure I can get to practice. So I'm glad the country day is out and we're done with
Don't
that.
let those kids. Don't let those kids see you. Don't let those kids see you in the training room. You got to go there after hours.
Nah, Coach, I
Home.
was in there really early.
All right, good.
Coach, not getting too crazy with into the football discussion, but definitely wanted to ask this. In this era, especially myself, being part of it, where you see a lot of 10 personnel, a lot of 11 personnel, where you have 3 and 4 receivers. This team is sort of like a blast from the past, where you see 13 personnel, 23 personnel, where they just have a whole bunch of those tight ends and backs that we don't seem to have. How much different is your preparation this week as opposed to other weeks?
Well, it's big, and first of all, you got to figure out, from a front standpoint, defensively, how do you align correctly to that and make sure, there's a lot of, stuff that we call, but we've got guards pulling, they've got guards and wings, they got guards and tackles, they got backside pullers, front side pullers. So there's a lot of moving parts up there, and from what we've seen, I think that you can have some success if you take some of that stuff away by alignment, and a lot of teams still want to just go like an even front, 2 5s, 2 3s, maybe a 6 or whatever. Yeah. And I don't think you can do that against this group. And I think that you've got to cause some confusion up there. I think that you've got to say, should I pull here? Should I not pull? Is it a me call? Is it a you call? And we're going to try to confuse them a little bit. And hopefully they haven't seen all those fronts and we can get in and out of our fronts pretty well. So I feel good about that.
I think you guys are the most sound defensive team I've seen in a long time when you played against the Catholic school. Because I think y'all held them to 7 points, or they didn't score at all one year, and they were a legit team that year. Like you guys shutting that down, that's amazing. So
first of all, our defensive staff does a really good job, and Coach Rose and I have been together since I've been at Charlotte Christian, and he's one of the guys that I retained when I took over. And, we kind of pride ourselves. We're not going to be the biggest team each year, but we're going to try to consistently align correctly, which if we do that, we'll have a chance to be competitive.
Last question, and I'll let you get out of here. Do you consider yourself more of an offensive guy or more of a defensive guy?
Man, I when I first took over, I called the plays. We revamped our offense several times. I brought in different guys, and I finally I brought on Coach Shaughnessy, who you all know, and kind of stepped away. And my goal when I brought Shag in was to go to the other side of the ball and try to make myself more versatile as a coach. And I had to kind of pull myself back in a little bit. But I think deep down I'm more of an offensive guy. I do enjoy the scheme of the defense, but I do think it's made me a better offensive coach, getting in our defensive meeting rooms and figuring stuff out. And, we do so much from odd to even, to bear to multiple coverage on the backside. It's challenging. Our practices are really challenging trying to figure each other out. So I think deep down I'm an offensive guy, but I wouldn't mind being on the other side of the ball.
That's awesome. No, Grounder, we got to get some funny in with them here, man. We can't take this all serious and all football stuff. So I was there along with Gary that first game, you guys against Country Day. And being there and the first time kind of being, seeing the coaches and it's, in a quiet stadium, you have that moment where you have a player that just doesn't do what he's supposed to. And normally, it's dadgummit, get over here. It's normally that, but you hear it now. So what was that moment this year where you had that moment where you said what you normally would say, then you kind of looked and go, oh crap, I forgot there's nobody here.
Well, first of all, we had a coaches meeting on that saying, hey, let's be aware. There was one time in practice, leading up to that first game, I stopped practice and I said, hey, everybody stop. This is what this is going to be like. I mean, you look around, there's not going to be anybody here. And that's before we figured out, who could be in, who couldn't be in. But it definitely is challenging. You got to really think about how you coach and how you communicate out there. And heck, I mean, you can hear the other sidelines as well. So that's a whole nother challenge in that as well. So you got to kind of think through what you're saying.
How does that affect your strategy when the stadium is quiet like that? How does that affect your calls on the field?
Well, I would say that, as I'm preparing, it would affect it. But when you're in the heat of the game, you kind of lose all that, your marbles out there. It is quiet in the heat of the game. Yeah, and it kind of keeps going. Now, here's the one thing, too, is when you play somebody multiple times in a year, you start to hear the same communication week in, week out. So, I wanted Chad to win, but at the same time, man, it sure is nice to play another opponent that might not know some of the terminology we use in our formations, et cetera. So we're looking forward to that.
Definitely when you have like 30 coaches like both of you guys do. You got 3 guys doing signal callers.
That's what I'm saying. They got dummy signal callers. I'm the only dummy signal caller on Fridays on my sideline. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that some of our guys have picked us. So, we're all over this thing. Trying to. I mean, I thought about, do we bring the daggone things out and cover our guys up? And, I got some giants in our coaching staff. So I might even just hide him inside those guys.
That is awesome. So, Coach, what's that moment when you had, you got Henry Rutledge? He's an amazing athlete. What's that one play where you forgot how fast he was? I was fortunate to have Julian Gray this past year. I remember that moment we threw a bubble out to him and he took it for 75. And even as a coach, you turn into a fan for maybe 5 seconds. You're like, God dang, that kid is fast. So, what was the moment you can think of?
Yeah, there's probably several moments. The second Country Day game, really, to be honest with you, we were going in. I think there might have been 1:36 left on the clock. We were pinned down like hour 20. And I was just like, let's just we had the ball coming out. I'm like, hey, let's just play this thing safe and get to the locker room and take a deep breath and come back out and get after it. And, he takes it to the house and you're just like, that's as easy as it gets right there. And like, just give the ball to that dude and let him miss guys. Yeah, all coaching.
All coaching, baby.
Yeah.
I think 2 of his best plays were like plays that got called back.
I know, right? Well, I mean, you go back to that PD game, that first PD game, and I was fit to be tied after that game because I'm like, I don't want to get into the whole official thing, but I'm like, darn, man, and you guys are here to keep us within the lines, not control the game and dictate the game. And man, I was furious now.
Well, if you flashed your Bill Russell rings,
hey, here's what I figured out since I've been there. I was the youngest coach in that conference. Coach Whitman, Coach Mack, Coach Harden would all get those calls each week, right? I'm like, golly, man. And now all of a sudden, Chad comes in for one daggone season and he gets calls. I'm like, you kidding me? I see Willie on the sideline. I'm like,
arrogant, man. They think you're arrogant.
Golly.
Bull crap too.
Well, Coach, man, we are glad to have you on. I'm a big fan of the show The Wire, so I've been touting all year. So I know Coach Greer is a phenomenal coach. He's great. Yeah. At the end of the day, we can talk about everything, but the king stays the king. So go get this last win. Prove me right. Forget your game. Prove me right, and go ahead and get that win over Rabun Gap. But we'll definitely be rooting for you, and we wish you, great success.
Yeah, I'll be there, guys.
Good luck,
Thanks, Coach. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Like that Thunderdome, baby.
Lock it up. Where's the music? We need the bumper. Let's go, Langston.
Where that music at? Because I'm ready to
come on, you gotta be quick on the trigger.
Hit that beat.
Gary gonna rap it. Gary can rap it. He can do it.
Hit that beat, works.
We might have lost him somehow.
All right. Let's get it, Gary.
All right, guys. But before we get started, we want to give the high school Heisman update. Mm-hmm. We got the Heisman watch list. Here are the finalists or semifinalists. As you can see, you got Russell Tabor from Country Day, Jake Helfrich, Providence Day, Matthew Tomlin. I hope I pronounced that right. Charlotte Christian. Tamala. Okay, I'm sorry. Henry Rutledge, Charlotte Christian, Nickel Fields, Providence Day, and AJ Simpkins, Christ School. So next week, next Saturday night at 8 p.m., we'll cut it to 3. And those 3 will be invited on the show next Monday, and we'll award the winner.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this list, man. That's an all-star list right there. You talk about 4 of the 6 quarterbacks, and then the ones that ain't quarterbacks. You're talking Henry Rutledge, which Coach Estep already talked about a little bit in detail. Nickel Fields, a phenomenal year, man. Grinder, I mean, all this offense, man. How do you feel about these guys, man? Some great guys here.
At least we got some running backs involved.
They're phenomenal backs. So, I mean, that's kind of the point. I feel like the running backs could play quarterbacks as talented as Rutledge and Fields are. They do everything else.
I just lost his name. What's my boy from Providence Day that got hurt in the first Christian game? The offensive defensive lineman.
I can't remember. That's the one that Langston can't remember his name.
Think of his name. But he would be in the running as a defensive player in the high.
That guy, yeah.
Zach.
No, for sure. I mean, I think
his name's Zach. That's right.
I remember Langston Zach. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Might be unpronounceable.
We got to see it. If we can pronounce Uangale, like, come on, we got to get the name. Right?
Your IQ's a little smarter than everybody else. You might be able to.
You just gotta practice. That's all. Big Z is we're gonna nickname him until we get it right. But no, that's a stellar list, man. I mean, I went through and looked at some of the stats on Max Preps for these guys, and you're talking 5-6 game seasons. But heck, man, some of these numbers these guys have. I mean, these running backs almost 1,000 yards for only 6 games. So it's some incredible stats that are going on with these guys.
Guys, the Panthers lost another one yesterday, and this one wasn't close. Can they pull off a turnaround this week against the Lions? Anybody heard the updated status on Bridgewater? Is he going to play or not?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play, but not sure about it.
Christian McCaffrey is not going to play either.
Yeah. I mean, when you lose enough games, do you just look at yourself in the mirror? You compete, but the upper management has to make decisions like this guy's not playing because it's not worth it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's time for us to get in the top 5 draft pick and help this team get better. Like we know we like the coach. I think he's going to be really good. There's no questions about that. You got questions in some other places, so that's what we need to figure out. See if we can win little small battles to help your team. But you're not going to make the playoffs this year, so you might as well shut it down. I mean, it's just what it is.
Well, it's just tough because I mean, you look at some of these games. I mean, you talk about the Chiefs game was a touchdown game. I mean, even the first Bucs game, going away it was a couple touchdowns. I think it was the Lions game was like 4 points. I mean, you got a team that's probably a couple games away from being right at 500 and close to contending for the division. So it's a little frustrating. I thought that had a chance to do well, but just some of those those growing pain type moments seem to be undoing the Panthers this year. And that's frustrating when you're so close. It's not like they're 0 for like the Jets, which we'll talk about later, and just sitting here looking for the future. They're dang close in a lot of these games. I mean, the Chiefs game to me was one of the best games they played. The Saints game right behind it, but both of those end up in losses. And you don't look at moral victories, but dang, man, it's tough.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you on that. That's the one time we'll agree a little bit.
Right. Here, the misery is the place where we can kind of agree.
We got everybody in the Thunderdome now. I like it.
They let everybody in there.
Like a cage match going on now.
Tag team.
Yeah. So Dale, what do you think? I mean, have you watched some of the Panthers this year? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think what Sam was leaning to, and I kind of tend to agree. When you get to this point in the season and you're where you are, where the Panthers are, you got to not just look at where you might end up in draft position, but what you might do to a player like McCaffrey. Now, he's out this week, but do you even bring him back the rest of the season? You have to start thinking about that money investment, player injury kind of situation now, because there is no win other than another W on the schedule, but it's nothing beyond that. It does change your draft position. It hurts it.
Yeah, it hurts it.
To get a W.
I think the Panthers should learn from, the Cam Newton injury situation the previous 2 years where they allowed him to try to play through injuries. You got a huge investment in Christian McCaffrey.
Exactly.
And I don't, I'd shut him down the rest of the season, honestly.
I would too.
If they were a playoff contention team, then that's something different where you can play through injuries or while you're hurt. If you're injured, you really can't play. But necessarily that's where you kind of push the limits. But right now, there's no point of pushing the limits. It's stupid, actually.
But you got to also remember, though, they've added a couple spots with the playoffs. So, I mean, they're only 2 games out. And I think it's like the 5 loss team is the 8th team or whatever. So they're really not as far. And I mean, again, we talk about these close games. They go on a run again. They're the division leading Bucs. They don't have to play anymore. They've played the Chiefs already. They've played some of these tougher opponents that they've seen. So, you think of that, but they still have that situation to try to make a run. And again, if I'm a coach, if I'm a player, I don't care how I get in the dance. You let me in the door, I'm going to be ready to rock. So
that's why upper management needs to make decisions, because coaches are going to coach to win. Players are going to play to win.
That's
so
right.
Someone higher than that's got to make a decision like, it's not worth it. I'm taking it out. The coach, you're not going to have this person available right now. It's just not worth them going through injuries. The investment's too great. And then you got to win with these other people, which you already anticipate and they won't. You see?
Well, the other people is also an opportunity to evaluate them.
Exactly.
Give them more time and evaluate them.
Yeah.
Well, guys, back in June, we were talking about who were some of the top schools headed into the fall. And now some of the top schools that we talked about, many of their best players, I won't say opted out because they're still going to play football. They're just going to play football at their next school, at the college that they plan on attending. So who was hurt most by no fall football? Vance, Myers Park, or Huff?
I can go first if you don't mind. Myers Park got hurt the worst because they got the best player in North Carolina, in my opinion. He can take over a game. He's the single-handedly Power Echols is pretty special. It's just you can't change the game as much on defense as you can on offense. And the trigger man, Drake May, is the best I've ever seen in a talent perspective. And that's saying a lot because imagine Carolina. Carolina's got one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and then they're going to get a guy I think that can even be better than him. That's when you lose that, it's got to be devastating to Myers Park because they had ambitions to win a state championship. And if he doesn't play, as much as I like that staff and they do a really good job, I don't think there's any chance that they can win.
I won't go that far with that. I think, my choice, I think my choice with it is Kinsey and, and those Huff Huskies. I mean, you got a situation where you got the number one player, you maybe look at it, at Myers Park and Drake May, you got to figure number 2 or number 3 is Evan Pryor. You look at a young quarterback and, having a security blanket like an Evan Pryor is great. At the end of the day, no matter what goes on, especially playing in these cold games, I can hand that ball off to Evan Pryor and he can go make plays. Then you turn on the other side of the ball and you look at, the secondary, which is that Huff defensive specialty. You've got a lot of those guys that are going ahead and going to, to play college football. That puts them in a really tough predicament, having to bring in a lot of new starters on that defensive side of the ball. So, it's one of those situations where it's a blessing to see a lot of these kids get offers, to see a team that's, that excelled, so well as far as getting these guys going to play college football. But that's a lot of kids at Huff, and you got a lot of talented guys that are not playing.
You know what, Grice? Don't come at me with that crap. You know what I'm saying? Man, look.
They're considering you for running back. Come on.
Best quarterback in the 2023 class. He's going to sling it because gunslingers sling. You got my guy Curtis Neal. He's going to be a junior this year. He's a big fella, and he's a game changer. And if he gets your quarterback, they're going down. We got some other guys in the line. We're going to shake it up. Don't count Huff out.
I didn't count him. I'm not throwing the Connor statement. I don't believe they can win. That's a lot of guys.
When you count them out, I'm just saying that since Drake May is not going to be there, I don't think there's any chance that Myers Park. That's why they're devastated the most. Huff lost an abundance of people, but they also get an abundance of people. So
they play down. There's a lot of kids going down. And again, you lock that Thunderdome against Vance and Mallard Creek, you're gonna be missing some of those guys.
We're technically not calling this the Thunderdome today. This is the Royal.
Right. We did unlock the door.
The Royal Rumble right now. That's
Dale, what do you think?
The big thing about your comments, Sam, is really the fact that Drake it's not just that he's a great player. He's a great player, but that team depends upon that position.
Yes.
Critically. It's a critical. Now, Power, I think, is on the same level.
Very close to me, yeah.
Right, but you can I think Vance can fill that slot, and they have Phil around, whereas on offense, Drake is that team. And with Drake gone, that really alters that offense tremendously as to what they can do, unless they have somebody who can step right in and throw the ball and command the team like Drake does.
And not only do they lose Drake, they lost his 2 backups as well.
Exactly. Good point. Exactly.
The McCowan guy. So I'm going to have to agree with Sam on this one. Next question. Do the Jets keep the number 1 pick?
It's not the Thunderdome. It doesn't count. It's like the Royal Rumble. You just slung one of the clowns over the ropes. Good job. Yeah, you got one guy out.
All right. Sam, you're not going to do the Rex Ryan dance, are you?
Yeah, I'm way better dancer. I'm way better dancer.
Okay, guys. Do the Jets keep the number 1 pick or trade it? What do you do?
No, you keep it. You keep it. I mean, I think this draft, I did a quick, perusing through Todd McShay's draft, and the amount of talent, in this draft is going to be something special. I mean, even depending on what Trevor Lawrence decides to do, what Justin Fields decides to do, what you presume that they would leave, you still got the Chase kid from LSU that absolutely torched Clemson's defense the last national championship game. You got, an offensive tackle I thought from Oregon, which first of all, breeds offensive linemen. So you know that they're going to have guys. And when you look at the Jets with Sam Darnold, the Becton kid that plays O-line for them, what a great chance it would be to create another bookend to get an offensive tackle. And it's not the sexy pick that everybody loves. You can't celebrate on draft day and go, we got a tackle. But your quarterback, is going to be excited about that, not having to pick himself off from the MetLife turf down there. So they've got plenty of other needs that they can get without having to trade down for their picks. You take whoever it is that you get at that pick, you build an offensive line around, and that's what wins games in the NFL. Building an offensive line, building a defensive line. Panthers, we're talking. You hear us? That rule. Who are those guys in there? Offensive line, defensive line. Listen.
Well, I definitely know, I respect Grice so much on the knowledge level, but GM status is just terrible. I mean, here's the thing. The Jets, the Jets are atrocious. They're terrible everywhere. One guy can't help them be better. So what you do is you trade it. You trade that pick because I think they believe in the trigger man that they have. He's not playing right now, but they believe in him. But you need to put pieces around him, like Grice said. And you can get a great tackle. Someone is in the 5th pick will end up trading you 3 first-rounders and something, maybe 4 first-rounders to get Trevor Lawrence because he's once-in-a-lifetime talent. Now, if he doesn't come out of the draft, things change. But if he comes out, you can get so much for him. So you're going to get the first-round pick that year. You're going to get the 5th pick where you can get your tackle that Grice is talking about. Then guess what? You're setting yourself up for the future that you actually can be recognized as an NFL football team again instead of being the Jets.
That's the Jets. They're not going to freaking you're the Jets. I'm not trading you. I'm not giving you picks.
I'll help you out.
No, Jets, you pick Trevor Lawrence if that's what you want to do. It's playing checkers and it's playing chess. Let the Jets keep their little pick. I'm not trading them anything. Don't pick whoever. Trevor Lawrence is probably going to tell them no. I'm not coming.
Guys, please tell Grice how wrong he is.
So my first comment, my thought on this was Panthers call the Jets, make a deal because I agree. A tackle's a great pick. The Panthers pick will be able to get a great tackle.
Great tackle.
So I don't think you're going to lose anything there. You can trade that pick away and get so much for it. They can get 2 tackles for it. 2 great, but one on both ends, 2 guards in the center. I could see getting enough picks out of that in trade that it would be much more valuable to the Jets because like Sam said, they need help everywhere. The Jets are bad.
He's talking sense into these guys.
Is he? He needs to know.
Here's the thing. If I'm the Jets, I keep the first-round pick, keep the first pick. If Trevor Lawrence is there, Trevor Lawrence is there. If I'm Trevor Lawrence, though, I'm pulling an Eli Manning and piecing out. Like, we ain't doing that. I'm going to pull an Eli, and the Jets are probably going to have to figure something else out. Because if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm not going to the Jets.
Exactly.
So it's a lose-lose.
Gary, what's up?
Here's what I'm thinking. I think Trevor Lawrence, I'm kind of with Kenzie on this, but here's what if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I put in somebody's ear, this is who I want to coach me. Because the Jets are going to fire Adam Gase. So I think a lot of it would depend on who the Jets hire as a coach.
How is Muschamp getting fired, but Adam Gase is keeping him?
No, Adam Gase is losing. Granted, they want to keep him making bad decisions so they can get the first pick. He's not keeping him there.
Exactly.
Granted, they can pay me and you. We could be co-head coaches. You could split a salary in half. I make $250. You make $250. We go ahead and coach and go ahead and lose these games. We can do as good a job as him.
They've been watching Queen's Gambit. I think, on Netflix.
That's what I'm saying. I agree. Smart stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't want some guy on the staff to come in there and start winning games. And then they don't
Like Raheem Morris is doing in Atlanta. He's coaching for his job. They don't hire many brothers to be head coach. He's trying to win, man.
All right.
All right, last question,
baby.
Put it up there, Mr. Wirtz.
Let's go.
Better QB, Trevor Lawrence or Sam Howell?
You don't even have to read it, Gary. First of all, I start with the disclaimer. I hate Carolina. I know, Gary, you're a Carolina grad. I went to grad school at Wake. I hate Carolina. But the answer here now, at this point,
we walked you down on Saturday. We walked you down.
Walked us down. I heard the whoop in the back from you guys coming along, passing us. But that was one of the best QB performances I've seen in college football in the last 2 or 3 years. It wasn't the fact that, the defenses were bad. Everybody was talking about that. Sam Howell's putting the ball in spots where I don't care who you're playing. It's not going to work. And yes, we played Trevor Lawrence early in the season. He didn't do anything close to that to our defense. He was a phenomenal player, Sam Howell. He's doing it without the best running back in the history of the ACC behind him, without the great defense. I love Jay Bateman. He's going to get them together eventually. We all going to pray and touch and agree on that. But he's doing that without the help that Trevor Lawrence has. DJ Uiagalelei came in and did virtually the same thing. His first game against Boston College was like 30 or 45 for almost 400 yards passing. That shows me you get another great quarterback just plug and play at Clemson, which is great, and it's a testament to what Dabo's done. But right now, Sam Howell's trailblazing a path that Drake May, and we love him, he's going to have to take a next step to really get there and match that. I think he can, but Sam Howell's showing right now he's the best quarterback in college football.
And I'm going to be honest with you, this is an easy one, but let me give some kudos to Sam Howell. I think he's a first-round draft pick when he comes out. I think that Carolina will have 2 first-round draft picks. I think Drake May will be a first-round draft pick, and I think Sam Howell's a for sure first-round draft pick. But it's not Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is a different breed. He's someone you think about every 25, 30 years of greatness, the ability that he has. He's literally Tarzan playing football. Like the man is Tarzan playing football, and you're trying to tell me like he's comparable to someone else. He's not. Did he win a national championship as a freshman versus Alabama just dicing them up?
All those jump balls he threw up. That's all it was. The receivers.
No, he did not.
All those first-round receivers. That's all.
Hey, Sam,
give me toward ACL and he threw a touchdown pass. Stop it.
Sam.
Yes.
Tell Kinsey who Tarzan is.
I know.
I keep forgetting this stuff. Thank you, Gary. We keep making these older references. Like, you know who Jane is? Gary's on point with that.
I got to come out of the back room for that.
He looks like Tarzan for sure.
Yeah.
Sam, I like Hal. He's a great ball player, and he is definitely a first-round draft pick without question. And who knows if he waits a year and Lawrence comes out and then he comes out, hey, he might be up there at a number 1 pick. But man, if I had to take the 2 quarterbacks and pick between the 2, Trevor Lawrence is just flat out awesome. That kid, I haven't seen a player at quarterback with his ability. I think he is just absolutely awesome.
I agree.
You didn't watch it. Did you watch Clemson last week with DJ? Like, he's 250 throwing howitzer in a 18-year-old kid.
Right. Here's my question. What is the ceiling for Sam Howell and what is the ceiling for Trevor Lawrence? If Sam Howell is Drew Brees, is Trevor Lawrence Peyton Manning with wheels? I mean, what's the ceiling for these guys?
That's exactly.
Let me ask you this. Does Sam Howell have more offensive talent around him than Trevor does this year?
Oh, no. Even though Trevor's missed his best receiver, no.
Hold on, before I get hate mail, shout out to De'Ami Brown, Chaffee Brown, Daz Newsome, great receiver. Not all 3 are
De'Ami's a pro.
Let me do that before I get hate mail.
De'Ami's a 9-route pro.
Yeah, let me make sure I say that. But no, I think the thing is, if Sam Howell was even close to the size of a Trevor Lawrence, Langston would have dang laughed this question out of the building. The fact that we're comparing a physical specimen that's 6'4", 230 to a guy that's 6'1", 225, and they're anywhere comparable can show you how
6'6", 230.
Thank you. Hey, even worse. Worse.
Add those 2 inches, please.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Griner. That is my fault.
He can run. He can, like, if they ran a 40-yard
He's Peyton Manning with wheels.
No, he's better than playing football. I agree with that.
550. Gary was watching with me. 550 yards, 6 touchdowns. If they were not up and trying to run the ball, he'd have went over 600. Sam Howell still has so much more room to grow and get better.
I'm telling you, Sam Howell and Drew Brees, accurate.
Well, y'all not gonna learn from high school. From high school, he did the same thing, and y'all didn't believe him.
Honestly, Bryce, as well as Sam was playing, I was sitting there thinking, man, I sure be glad when Power Eccles gets here because he's better than
his defense. Carolina's playing Big 12 football right now, Gary. They're playing a little Big 12 football right now. Every game is 56 to 51.
There's only gonna be one knock on Sam Howell, and it shouldn't be a knock because I think he's one of the best leaders there is. The intangibles at quarterback, both of these guys have it. That's what you're looking for, leadership qualities. When you're in the huddle, or most of them do no huddle these days, but you look at that guy as your leader and you feel confident going to battle with them. Like you said, I think Trevor Lawrence is the Peyton Manning with wheels. I believe that. But I think Sam Howell still can have a career year like Phillip Rivers. I think he can have a Phillip Rivers type.
Oh, don't say that.
Don't disrespect him. Carolina grad. Don't disrespect
Bad
him.
Analogy.
Hall of Famer. So a Hall of
Phillip
Famer.
Rivers would love to be Sam Howell.
God,
he got a better throwing than the T-Rex.
His arm is stronger for sure. Sam Howell comes out next year, Drake red shirts next year. Gary's in a smooth transition to Chapel Hill. Is there no quarterback drop off between a Heisman Trophy candidate? Definitely next year for sure.
I don't think there's any drop off in talent. It's going to be based on what's around them. Can Carolina continue to recruit skilled players? I think they can.
Well, Matt was right on this show not too long ago. He said that's the best recruiting class they've ever had was Drake's.
Yeah. I still, the game is still won in the trenches, and that's where Carolina has to show that they're ready to play with the big boys because we obviously see they get pushed around on defense.
Why can't they fix the defense? Because defense was the problem in the previous regime. They brought in
Fedora's guys. Those are not Max guys.
Well, here's the thing. The hardest position to recruit, because there's not a lot of them, is defensive line in college football. I talked to Niedermeyer from Tennessee. Things of that nature. There's only like 2 or 3 schools that get the legit guys. Everybody else falls off the face of the map, and they can't win those big games in the trenches unless you get a diamond in the rough. Like NC State's done in the past, where like have a couple of guys like that. But it's hard. It's very hard.
Tell you what, guys. I think this Power Eccles kid is going to be a star. I don't know if he'll play linebacker in Carolina, but he's going to be a star.
He's going to play linebacker in Carolina.
He's going to be a star. I think he's a Thomas Davis in the pros, though.
Yes, that's exactly right. Thomas Davis was a safety body type that went to.
Yeah,
that's what you want. You want speed and be able to have hip explosion.
But Power has that. It's something about Power that's beyond football. It's not.
The leadership quality.
Something about him that's just obvious. Yeah, maybe that's what. It's something about him I just have rarely seen in high school football players. He has a quality that's pretty special. Well, guys, we're running really heavy, so I'm gonna put Sam in the one shot and tell us what's on your mind, Sam.
I'm excited that I won the Royal Rumble today. Shout out. The Thunderdome's kind of easy these days, so the Royal Rumble was pretty exciting, just throwing people out of the ring. And I really enjoyed it today. It was fun. The Warrior, maybe read it. Ultimate Warrior. That's it.
All right, well, guys, we had a fun show. Estep was great, man. We got Estep back on the show. I love hearing you guys chop it up with football, use some lingo I didn't understand, but I thought it was fun though to listen in and have a good time. Kenzie, we gotta get you some contact lenses so you can see us. I didn't know you couldn't see us.
Right. When I read the text message, she's just like.
Man, we had too much fun in this show. You guys make it really fun.
And what old person reference did you learn tonight?
I know who Tarzan is.
You don't know who Tarzan is.
He's the guy who swings on the vine.
Yes.
You don't know
who but Sam, they remade Tarzan like in recent times. So
that is true. They've made it.
They've remade it a bunch of times.
Just want to put up a reminder: high school Heisman watch list. Sam and Grice has grown. Russell Tabor, Jake Helfrich of Providence Day, Matthew Tuamala, Charlie Christian, Henry Rutledge of Charlotte Christian, Nickel Fields, Providence Day. We added your boy AJ Simpkins, Grice out of Christ School this week. He's on the Heisman watch list. So Grice and Sam are going to pick 3 of these guys. We're going to pick 3 of them for our finalists. We're going to have a special show on Saturday night to reveal our finalists. We'll invite all 3 guys to come on next week, just like you're going to New York for the Heisman. And then Coach Grinder is going to award the big award of the show next Monday night live on the show. Appreciate everybody watching. Hope you guys have as much fun as I did just watching. I was laughing. Kenzie said you said he's a gunslinger and slingers sling. Is that what you said?
That is what I said.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Kinsey got a future, man. I'm telling y'all. 10 years from now, y'all see when they go to like the sideline reporter, we're gonna toss to Kinsey McClain. You be like, man, I remember that girl. She's on the show with us back in the day.
I just want a job so I can get like a gift card for doing a show or something.
And then 20 years from now, Sam would say, you remind me of Kinsey McClain.
All right. Young Kinsey
Like,
McClain.
who's that? And they was like, how do you not know who Linda Cohn is? Come on.
All right, I'm Langston. That's Gary. That's Sam. That's Miss Kinsey. That's Dale. That's Grice. We're talking press. We'll catch you next Monday night at 7 o'clock.